Hi guys, welcome back. So in this video we're going to continue on with the restoration on this VW T2 Bay 1971 Westphalia. Now this video is about fitting the rocker stroke sill, okay? And if you've never fitted the sill before and you're at this stage or into the future when you want to, you know, have some helpful tips and tricks regarding fitting that sill, well, that's what this video is about. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to explain to you, right, the reason why it's important to set up everything before you go fitting the rocker. Yeah, now I've enhanced the situation a lot out on the bench where it needs to be done, okay? So I'm ready to go here, but I may as well tell you this because basically what you're going to be doing is watching the process. I won't be explaining to you as I'm working. What I'm going to do now is tell you what's vital, and it is critical to have your weld set up to perfection. So what you need to do this job successfully is to have your weld set up in such a way you have about 5 or 6 amps extra than the usual plug weld requirement, okay? So you need it a little hot, in other words, because once you start turning up your amps or your, you know, that dial for more heat, that's basically heat. That's what you're doing. You're increasing your amps and you're going up, so it's hotter. It's going to be. It's still all 1 mil, but you only get a split second to fire in that plug weld. That's the idea here. The top of the cargo floor comes out like this and it goes round, and it's a heavy duty. If you look, it's heavier, okay? And underneath that there's a ledge that your roller goes along, that slides along, and it is on that piece is where the plug welds are going. So we're kind of prevented with the floor that comes out and goes round. It just tails around a little bit. So the gun is not going to be able to go straight down and do a plug weld, as in straight down. It can't do that. You're sneaking in these plug welds. That's the only way it's possible to do it. So what I mean is the gun angle is like this, and you want to drop in a plug weld, okay? So the gun angle is like that, yeah, like a 45 degrees. So you're sneaking a plug weld in underneath this, and that's why I say you need to have your amps up, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 amps, so that when you pull your trigger on the gun, it's almost instantaneous to put that plug weld in there. You don't need any restriction, you know. So before you make the effort or before you pull the trigger, first of all make sure that the blob has gone off the end of the wire. So everything now is perfect. So the top tip here is, before you go fitting that sill or rocker to the bus or car, get some 1mm sheeting and put some plug holes on it, 8mm or 6mm plug holes, or 7mm if you're doing them on a drill, just drilling out the holes. Some of, you know, you may have a punch, yeah, that punches it out. Put some holes on it, lay it down on the other piece, and practice your plug welds going in on an angle like that, so that you will have the perfect result when you transfer over to your car, when you go do your body work. You should then, everything then is set up as regards the weld set. Your weld set must be set up right. You know, don't do it in reverse. Go at the job and set it up as you go and think, oh, that's not good, oh, that's a bad one, oh, and the next thing you know, you have a half a dozen or more poor plug welds put in. And I say this because it's critical that you put in the perfect plug weld, even though, you know, the area isn't the perfect area to be putting them. And that's why you should do this work up front. Try and get the work done up front, away from the vehicle, that everything is set up and perfect. And then you can then go with confidence, more confident, when you actually go at the job, okay? The reason why it's important not to mess this up is that, or to do the very best you can, is that the track, right, which I showed you the rollers in a couple of videos back, the rollers are about like 13 mil or half an inch. And those rollers, when they glide along, they have, you know, they don't want to be going up and down. There's 37 plug welds in this section. So if you take 1 or 2 off from each end, you know, you have 35 plug welds. And even when you dress them up afterwards, it has to be perfectly smooth along there, because that's where the roller sits on the track. And if you have 35 that are either concave or convex. It's like it's going to be either, when you slide your door, which a sliding door on a bus goes at a fair little rate, and it's travelling on a wheel that's half an inch, it's going to pick those up. So you don't want a door that's going to be going like that as you close it or slide it along. So that's why I'm saying to you, make sure all your settings, and really it's only wire speed and amps. That's, you know, and to fine tune it and to make sure it's perfect and to make sure that it's actually at the angle that you're actually firing these plug welds in at, or able to fire these plug welds in at, because you've done it then away from. So, you know, take your gun over to the bus and see where the shroud is hitting the floor, the edge of the floor, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And then go to your bench and practice that same positioning, all of the positionings, practice that on the bench and make sure that everything is perfect there. Then apply it to the bus. Now, I would also say a plug weld or a spot weld on the left hand side, and then on the right hand side, and then one in the middle, making sure, you know, the middle then is, make sure the middle is right, make sure the ends are right, make sure the middle is right, and then you're closing in on yourself. So then again, one there, you know, and then finally, you know, the bottom. You can do a bit of the top and a bit of the bottom if you wish. So you're, you know, kind of going left and right and working away. Cool every plug weld on top, every plug weld, cool every plug weld, because the last place you need distortion is on your roller track. And that's what we're working with today. So now I've spoken, I've talked through the critical area. That's the critical area in this process. And if you get that right, then it's a success. It's another success. And you can walk away knowing you've done the best job there. So that's what it is, guys. I hope, you know, that you understand now what I mean. That track, you don't want your sliding door shuddering, going across or going up and down a little bit. That's why you have to have those plug welds perfect. You will dress each one of those 35 odd along the top, 35 odd plug welds. You'll have to dress afterwards. Now again, you don't want to be dressing, you know, a lot of metal. So you only want to kind of just get it right that it's a fill, and you learn that timing outside of the job, so you'll know. And that's it. 1 Miami, 2 Miami, you know, or 1 Miami and let go. That's all it is. So I hope that helps, guys. I'll thank you for watching at the end, yeah? Okay guys, just to show you, this was the angle of the gun that I was talking about, at about a 45, and that's about the distance. So the distance is restricted as well from first point of contact. So, you know, you're forced to keep back a bit. Just show you that on here. Sorry for twisting you around so fast, guys. So maybe you can see that by the time you get in, even if you shortened up the wire a bit, you're still kind of like, you're not as close as you'd like to be. You can keep a short wire, but you know, the closer the wire gets to the workpiece, the hotter that area is. So it's like a balancing act between all of those variables. The gun can be kept out a little bit, but anyway, that's my point. That's the angle of the gun, and that's where we'd kind of be. That's where we're going to be shooting that plug weld in, and you can see there's the hole, yeah. And I've kept them out to about 5-6 mil, 1/4 of an inch off the edge. You can see that? Okay. So if we go back here again, you know, I've tried to imitate the angle on here of the gun at about 45 degrees. Don't know if I'd be able to pick this up with this camera or not, but this was my first spot. So yeah, this spot didn't pick up all around there, okay? It only picked up just here. You can see where it's joined, and you can see the heat ring. This is the second spot. I upped the amperage a little bit from 1 millimeter sheet steel, yeah, but I upped the amp and the wire speed a little bit, and I get this here. So you can see the heat ring, okay? So you can see that circle around it. Now the third one was almost, you know, we're getting there, okay, let's just put it that way. So that's the first one. The second one didn't pick up at all on the top plate for 50% of it, didn't pick up from here round to here, didn't pick up. On the third one, we're getting about 60 or 70% of pickup, yeah, and a nice heat ring, so it's actually going in the bottom as well as the top. The fourth one, there was a small piece that didn't pick up, so I put a second run on top of it, just to, which wasn't really, you know, a good thing to do. Now this one, you can see there's a big heat ring on it. Now any of these guys I didn't cool off, but there's only a small space here that actually it didn't pick up on. And the last one, right, is a full-blown plug weld. Picked up all around, as you can see, and now we know that we're good to go. Yeah. Now I'd like if it sank in a little bit like the third spot, because there is a bit of a ridge on it, you know. So maybe if I take the wire down a little bit more, let me show you that bit of a ridge if you can see it that way. There's a bit of a height on it. And then the underside of these guys, remembering that this is the 6th plug weld. So that's what we're looking at. That's the 6th plug weld. And there's nothing, it's almost flush on the back side. You can see there. This is the 5th and the 4th and the 3rd, the 2nd and the 1st. Now admittingly, again, all these are all features you should always be looking, but look, there's a coolness between the 1st. That's a cold one. There's the 2nd one. There's the 3rd one. We have heat coming off on the edge, which we didn't have here, and we didn't have here at all. Can you see the, you know, the heat ring? So this is the coldest, is where we started. And then we went on here, the 4th one, which is well out at the back as well. The 5th one, a little bit more contained and not as proud as this one, the nipple on the back. But you can see now there's a lot of heat going on. A lot more heat in this area than in this area. You can see, yeah? And there was no cooling process on any of these, okay? So, and there should, you know, for real results, that, you know, especially after the 3rd one, yeah? So the 4th, the 5th and the 6th, you can see there's heat generated and it's marrying across all of the panel. The discoloration is what we're looking at here, guys, yeah? So these are all joined up. So there's been a lot of heat gone in here now, yeah? Right, so that's kind of, you know, these are all features from a welding perspective. Cold, very hot, yeah? It's like a staining, if you will, you know? So, first one, last one. So we know now we're even talking ballpark, you know? We're way past ballpark. You know, we won't have any issues. That's pretty much flat on the back, see? Okay. And the further up we go towards the first spot, look, the higher they are. Okay. So I just thought I'd show you that. Yeah, I've spoke about it. Okay, let's get stuck in with this welding it up now. Okay guys, give you a look at that now, yeah? You'll be able to see all these plug welds. If you can turn this light on maybe, yeah, might help. So, not too bad, yeah. Remember there was grease as well, there's grease up the back there, but that was all cleaned out. But there you can see now, yeah, they're the plug welds. I think about 1.25 inches in distance from each other. So they all have to be dressed up now, made flush again, yeah. And that's the top. Now, as you can see, the bottom is well secure, yeah. So it really can't go any place. And there was a question as well about, you can see in here maybe, there's a little weld across there now, right? I'll have to linish that down. But that's now instead and takes and replaces the plug welds. That there would have been 2 plug welds on the end here from the factory, which of course when we go this method we can't really replicate that, okay? So it's going to be welded, it is welded across here now, right? Yeah, so that's that. And it's the same up at this end, guys. Yeah, that's welded in there across as well. So, and you can see, you know, there's 37 plug welds from factory. That's how many there is, and that's how many we've just put back in, okay? And there'll be 52 spot welds along the bottom here, okay? So it's just in case you haven't been following along, we're going for factory finish, especially down this half, because that's what we're doing. We're spot welding this on, yeah? That's what we'll be going at next. So there's been lots of, you know, so, you know, the sill is on now, yeah? Pretty much, you know. There's a couple of plugs to be done here, 4 or 5, because we can't get the spot welder at the back, you know, because of jacking point, etc. But yeah, I think I'll leave it at that, guys, yeah. Shove all this into one video. I think I'll make another one on it, right? Of, you know, because this has to be dressed and all that. And then I'll bring you back and show you the final. I'll show you the spot welding bit, and, you know, just to see it done, and if that's something you're doing, or, you know, you anticipate doing, or you don't think you're able to do it, well, then I hope you find this video. And, you know, I haven't rushed it along. I've shown you, you know, piece by piece. That's the idea of the videos from this table anyway, is not to rush along too much, and just to show you, you know, and to give you advice on how to get it done if you're doing it yourself, you know. We all have different trades, yeah, so mine happens to be this one, and hence the reason why I think, you know, these videos are necessary. Yeah, some videos are very fast, some videos are very slow. Mine tend to be slow, but, you know, I try to show you, you know, I really can't. If I'm not showing you this way, then I don't know how you can, you know, I mean, if it's too fast, I could just breeze by and not do it, but then there's no point in shooting video, I don't think. You know, it's unnecessary, really. So, yeah, clean metal, we didn't have too many problems. You know, there'll be small little bits where it maybe hasn't picked up a small bit because of the awkwardness of the gun, yeah? But that's not your fault, you know. There's a little bit in there now, you know. But if I remember, there was nothing in the back of that one. The hole actually was, we drilled that hole too far in, you know, too far back. So you can see kind of there, there's a lot of meat here. The hole is out, you know. So yeah, there'll be tiny little bits to do, but to have this face, guys, you know, this lip, yeah, for the new seal, the door seal now. I mean, that's really, and to have the face on that track all the way along there, you know. That's why we drilled all the holes, so we can do it that way, and it looks like it was never out there, you know. And when we dress it now and, you know, clean it all up, it'll just look like, well, it'll just look like, yeah, it's factory. I mean, yeah, that's what we're going for, right? So yeah, there's a couple of plug welds to be done here. like I said, because we can't get our spot welder in the back of that. The jaws of it, and the same here. Couple of plug welds here, and that's it. Everything else then is just spot welded along, guys. Yeah. So guys, I'll show you these settings now. Yeah. So I'm hoping that's okay there. Without light, maybe better without the light. But yeah, so on this control here we have the material thickness, which is the first one. And if we press this button here, we get amps, which is this one that's lit up in the center here. And then you have your wire feed speed, which is the third one to light up. So if we go back, we have 1.2 millimeters, yeah? So that's the material thickness. So that's what I set it to. Remember I said we were going to go a little high with it, yeah? And there you have it, guys, yeah? So amps 45, which seems low, and 6.6 meters a minute. Yeah, spooling off, wire spool off. So that's it, guys. Okay, I really am gone now, guys. I'll see you in the next one, yeah? Ciao.